So, hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra Kaye, and I'm sitting here with Donovan, the recovering Democrat Sadiq, also known as the Black Yul Brenner, still very bald. No Hawaiian herbs or anything else on the planet has been able to help, but there's hope somewhere. But anyway, the purpose of the Demetra K Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we are great people, but we can always strive to do better. Also, like to say that we are not live. This is pre-recorded, as we will be live later on this evening. Donovan and I like to argue amongst ourselves sometimes, so that's why we do this podcast. But anyway, we are going to be talking about two things, maybe three, four, five, six. Y'all know how Donovan and I get down. We'll start off talking about something else, and then we'll end up all the way in Mars somewhere. But nevertheless, today we are going to talk about two things. One is a video I saw a couple of days ago trending of a sister admonishing white men for how they treat them when they're dating them or whatever. So we'll watch that video, and then we're also going to talk about a case that was kind of trending about a week ago, a couple days ago at this point, about Imani Robinson, I should say. I know, people talked about it, but I don't think it got the conversation it deserved, at least from this show. So we're going to talk about that and whatever else comes to our mind with this within this hour or so that we are here. So Donovan, how are you today?
I'm just trying to stay cool. It's still hot out here in the desert where I live. People say, well, you're in the desert, so it's going to be hot. Yeah, it is hot out here, but it does get cold at night. Do us a favor. You guys see that banner scrolling at the bottom? If you so desire, please go ahead and donate. That's various ways you can donate to the show and help us put out more videos. By the way, you guys, if you guys haven't paid attention, Demetra on Sunday did 16 videos in one day. So she has been busy putting out the videos and doing that. And one way to help her and keep her motivated is to donate to the channel to help keep everything going well. Also, another way to donate to the channel is to hit that like button on the way in. Please hit that like button. That lets the algorithm know that people are interested in this show. And do not forget to check out Brother Phil Scott on the Philip Scott Show, and also on the African Diaspora News channel as well. A lot of great information on there, as well as Demetra is also a contributing editor on the African Diaspora News channel. So again, if you become a member and you subscribe, you're going to get all of those videos and notifications before it actually posts. So when it posts, so that way you know when Demetra's putting out good content. But this is a good subject we're going to talk about. I think a lot of people are confused in some of the facts of the case when it comes to the missing, unfortunately, the lady that passed away. And this is how we keep our information going within the community of the African diaspora. So again, please do not forget to check out Brother Phil Scott and the African Diaspora News channel.
Absolutely. So we'll start off talking about Imani Robinson. So she's a 29-year-old mother of four who went missing, I believe it was on July 16th. She had dinner with her mother with her four children. And when she left, she took her two younger children, leaving her two oldest ones with her mother. And her mother said that she could not locate her, went over to her house and she wasn't there. And so from that point, a missing persons report was made. And there was an all-out effort to find her. Sounds like they found the vehicle first. And they also found the two children that were with her. They were alive. But they found the vehicle and it was burned. And then after that, they ended up on the 8th, I think, of this month, they ended up finding her body, which sounds like 30 miles or so away from where she was supposed to be. And they made an arrest, and it was that of her husband. And I want to show y'all a video, just kind of give y'all a little bit more context. As I said, I heard about it, but I was like, I think it deserves a conversation, because I want to know why. Why would he do such a thing, or, and all that. So we're going to have that conversation. Donovan actually knows a little bit more about the because Donovan be on the gossip sites and stuff like that. So he know the tea. I just know, the water, I guess. But anyway, I'm going to show y'all a video of the news conference in regards to it. Hopefully this thing works because Donovan and I have been having some extreme technical difficulties on here. So keep your fingers crossed. Here we go. It's not saying anything, huh? You'll hear it? Okay, hold up.
Nope, don't hear it.
This thing is I almost called it a bad name, but hold on. It's StreamYard. So hold on a second. Let me remove it. My apologies. It's not me. It's the program that we're using. It's not acting right for whatever reason. So let me see if I can do it.
And you know what the sad thing is? StreamYard has those commercials on you talking about, oh, it's going to be flawless and you can do all this other stuff. And it's just like.
Normally it works, but today it might, I don't know, maybe it's undergoing something. Let's try it again. Yeah, it's StreamYard is being a. Oops. Now we want to remove it. So, all right. Well, I'll tell you what I can tell you from, off the top of my head. Okay. Now, from what I understand, her husband, what was his name? Darnell Anderson. Her husband, Darnell Anderson, was deemed responsible for her murder. Okay. They also charged his brother in with tampering with a body or tampering with evidence. So I guess he must have moved, helped him move the body and all of that. So they have both been charged with her murder, a couple of charges to be exact. And so it sounds like her mother has all four of her children. Well, Donovan was telling me there's three fathers involved in that equation. And I guess the mom is wanting to raise all four of the children, and she has a GoFundMe she's asking for $50,000, but it has about $23,000 in it now to help with raising the children, because obviously the father, and I'm assuming from what I understand, I could be wrong, so don't quote me. The father that is responsible for taking her out of here is the father of the youngest one, and she has children from 11 to 1 month old. So she had just had a baby at the time that she was missing, and then ultimately murdered. So that doesn't sound like there has been any motive disclosed as to why he would have done such a thing to her. But I want to have that conversation. And in fact, in that same county is Rockdale County, and it's in Georgia, if I didn't already say that. So forgive me for that, Georgia, but Rockdale County, they said at the time they had 4 to 5 murders that year, and all of them have been due to domestic violence. So it sounds like domestic violence is taking a lot of people out of here. I know 4 or 5 doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. And it doesn't say whether it was all women or what. So domestic violence could be on men, women, children. So it's not just toward women, even though we kind of always have that conversation about domestic violence against women. But there's most indeed domestic violence against men as well. So I just want to see what else I have here. And forgive me, he was just going to basically say that they made an arrest and all of that. But they were definitely married. So, Donovan.
Yeah, very, very tragic situation here. It's just another example of, the motive is, it's something people are still trying to find out. Currently, the brother and the husband are currently incarcerated, and they're going through the process of finding out the facts of the case. The father of the woman that was deleted, he kind of knew already when she went missing what was happening, and kind of had an idea and a clue. But in regards to the children and raising the money for the children, initially the money was to find the daughter that went missing, and the mother changed the GoFundMe to helping raise the children. Now the issue now that they're having, there's three different fathers. The first 2 older kids are from when the father and her were in high school. So they initially had this baby when he was like 16 or 15. And then they had another child 2 or 3 years later. So those are the 2 oldest boys. So the mother knows this young man, they've known him since he was a teenager, whatever, and they had their relationship, whatever. And he's always been involved in his children. Unfortunately, during the press conference, the police officer, chief, whoever he was, for some reason made it seem like these men aren't involved in their children's lives. The third child has a father as well, and that father is also involved in the life of that child. But the first father doesn't want to speak for the third father. He's speaking for his kids. And currently he is in negotiations to try to get his children, which to the average person that has any sense, if one of the parents is deceased, the kids should automatically go to the other parent, especially if that other parent wants those children with him. And this man was involved with his children. From some of the speculation that's out there and from what's been told by the mother who did an interview and a podcast, the mother of the father, she's saying that, you know, the kids are being brainwashed and the father can't talk to the children without being on speakerphone. And they're like, okay, let's say I'm 9 years old. Why would I think that my younger brother needs me when I'm being cared for my damn self? And so these are some of the platforms that are being and hurdles that are being put in front of the father to retain his children. And it's going to get messy, I think, before it's going to get better. I don't know why the grandmother on the young lady's mother would want to hold the children from them. We all understand that, yeah, you want the children together, but that is if the children come from the same parents. You know, realistically, that's not going to happen when they don't come from the same parents. So again, you know, either we need to make better decisions in who we have children with, or limit our children to one type of person, because those people want those children just as well. And yeah, you're the grandmother and you love them all to death, but that doesn't preclude you from not seeing your children and your grandchildren and checking up on them. But I don't think that you should be the overall authority of this man getting his children. So it's going to get more complicated before it gets better. But in the long run, I do believe he's going to get his children. It's just that he's been being put through a lot of hoops and hurdles just to get them. And then I guess in Georgia, again, I don't care if you're in Georgia. I don't care where you're at. You young men and just men my age that are still having children out there, you got to know the laws of your state. Just because you have children with a person and you're paying child support doesn't mean you have legal jurisdiction over those children. In the state of Georgia, you have to go and file for custody or joint custody of your children. And a lot of you guys don't do that. And then now you're in a situation like this to where you're the legal father financially, but you're not the legal father in regards to getting your children naturally, because you didn't file for it or you didn't bother to do it, whatever. This is why mandatory DNA needs to be established, and paternity needs to be established on the front end before anybody signs any birth certificates and all this other stuff. So all this stuff could be avoided. And that's one of the situations that this man is involved in as well. He was paying child support. He's involved in his children's lives, but what's the term, Demetra? He's not he doesn't have the jurisdiction. He's the father, but he doesn't have the jurisdiction.
He's a non-custodial parent.
Right. But there's another word for it where, you know, whatever the thing is where he doesn't file for his custodial rights, I guess. So custodial parent might be the right term. So again, you guys, just because you're paying child support, just because you're this, doesn't mean you have rights to your children.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot to be said there. But I kind of want to go back to, you know, her being unalived. Of course, you guys know what that term is for. Of course, we don't know the motive for him doing that to her. But I would say this, not just in our community, but everywhere, people need to learn coping skills. Now, I don't know what would have caused him to do that to her. But I just know that people do and say things to you all the time that you don't like. But you have to know when to hold them and when to fold them, right? You need to know and say, you know what? I really just feel a really good pimp hand coming on here. I feel like I want to choke you. So I'm going to walk away from you. You know what I mean? I'm going to abstain from you because I want to do something to you, right? And then like, come on, let's not lie to kick it. We've all been with somebody or known somebody who's like, I could just really punch you in your face. I want to punch you in your face, right? But then the other side is like, well, if I punch them in the face, I'm probably going to go to jail or they might punch me back. So you have to have these conversations. And that these people here, Armani and Darnell, they're fairly young, 29 years old, right? And so we're starting to see a lot of this, a lot of younger people behaving in this way where they're killing each other or whatever the case is. And as I always like to talk about coping skills, coping skills is when we, as parents, don't teach our children how to deal and how to deal with rejection, right? Rejection is being told, no, no, honey, you can't have another piece of candy, but okay, because you don't want to see him cry instead of saying, honey, I shouldn't have gave you the one piece of candy because sugar is not good for you. But because I did, you should be grateful. And giving you 2 pieces of candy is not good for you. Do you want to go to the dentist where they'll give you a whole bunch of shots and pull your teeth out? No, mommy. Well, that's why I'm telling you no. Okay. Okay. See what I'm saying? But instead of acquiescing, oh, I'm going to give him some candy because I don't want to hear him cry. Then when they get older, it's hard for you to tell them no. So then they get into relationships, and for whatever reason, they may be engaged in an argument with somebody, and or whatever, they don't get their way. Then the next best thing for them is, well, I'm gonna do something to them. I'm gonna do something to them. I'm gonna get my way, right? I'm gonna take it, whatever the it is. Y'all can, fill in the blanks, and then they end up getting in trouble, right? Because sometimes they end up taking somebody's life. Now, I'm sure that young man is probably sitting in jail along with his brother who helped him, dispose of the body or move it or whatever he did. I'm sure he's sitting there like, damn. Because my mom used to always say, hindsight is 20/20. For those of y'all too young to know what that means looking back on what happened or what was said, I would have moved differently now that I can see it clearly. But often we got to have hindsight before it gets behind us, right? So I'm sure he would have moved differently now that he has time to think about it. But I would guarantee you, if you talk to his mother and his father or people who knew him, they probably would say, yeah, he was a little on the spoiled side and he just was never taught any coping skills.
I mean, the whole thing is interesting in the aspect of like murder mystery type stuff. But at the same time, it's tragic because with what's going on in today's world today, don't be surprised that these stories are going to be coming out left and right and left. Now, in this situation, she was married to this man, okay, after having 2 relationships that didn't work out for whatever reasons. One was a high school love and stuff like that. We get that. The second father, we don't know the situation with that, but that obviously that relationship didn't work out. So she ended up finally marrying this man. But when I say don't be surprised that you're going to see more situations like this and this is why, and you guys might not agree with this. What is the number one reason couples break up? Finances, money. It's about the money. And if we're looking around today, look at the AI that's taking over the jobs. The wages have been stagnant for over 40 something years. Black people are half of all the homeless out there. The stress of just trying to survive every day. And you got to remember, this woman had 4 children before she was 29. So this guy, I'm not making excuses for the man, but at that young of an age, Demetra, imagine having to take on 3 children in addition to the 1 child that you just had. The stress of that. And some of these kids, unfortunately, like you said, they weren't raised to cope with situations like that. You got to be a stronger type person. And if you don't have the finances, again, the smallest thing will trigger an argument. Like, you're in there and, the lights are about to be cut off. And let's be real, folks. We all know somebody right now that has either a light problem, a cell phone problem, some kind of bill is due and they don't have the money to pay for it, right? And, this is a married couple, whatever. She's probably saying, oh, well, you ain't a man and this, that, and whatever. And he gets, the littlest thing could trigger a lot of these young people. A better example would be like this. Try to take a phone away from a 2 or 3 year old and see how they react. See how they react. They freak out. As simple as that. So you take the stressors of the world for people who really take on more responsibility than they need to. And unfortunately, the world has put these stressors in addition to what they've already done to themselves. It's a recipe for disaster. And unfortunately, a lot of people can't, let's face it, we're not built like our parents, and these kids aren't built like us.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. You know, again, hindsight is 2020. And I tell y'all my story all the time. I only have one child. And I had one child because I that's all I really wanted. Her father and I did not work out. And I was not going to have a copious amount of baby daddies. And listen, no shade to nobody else. I'm speaking about, when I'm always speaking about me. This is not to shame nobody else or whatever, because what you did with your life is what you wanted to do. And that's perfectly fine, right? But I'm saying for myself, I didn't want a copious amount of baby daddies. I didn't want to be that girl, right? And I had my daughter when I was 21. I'm 31 now. I'm just playing. I'm 52. Anyway, I had my daughter when I was 21, but I had the wherewithal to know that I was not going to be, you know, and then listen, this is not an indictment on Imani, RIP. This is not about her at all. We're just having this conversation. I was not going to be laying low and buzzing it wide, you know, for a whole, because I'm not that type of chick, no way, to be laying down with a whole bunch of dudes. But I was not going to be doing that then, you know, and I was the type of mama that when I had my daughter, if playtime was over. Playtime was over. You know, and a year after or so, her father and I did not work out. And that was not an excuse for me to, you know, try to drop off at my mama's house. I couldn't do that no way, because my mom was like, hey, I will watch her while you're going to work, maybe every now and again. And she did. My mom was good about that. But as far as going to kick your heels up, I don't think so, little girl. You had her and you gonna raise her. And I love my mama for that every day. RIP, I do, because she made me raise my daughter. But I was not going to the clubs every weekend and out and about. And I had friends that were, right? They had children. But I had friends that were doing that. And they would always say, Demetra, you don't never want to do nothing. You don't never want to go nowhere. I'm like, listen, because a lot of times it's at work. I'm like, when I clock out from here, it's two things. I don't want to see y'all suckers no more until I come back the next day. And I got a child waiting for me. What I look like hanging out at the bar with y'all after I get off work. Y'all ain't my first priority when I leave here. I got a priority that's waiting for me to pick her up from school, because that's the kind of schedule I had. I worked 4 days, 3 days off, and I worked early enough to where my mom, you know, her dad, she with her dad, would take her to school, and I would pick her up. I would get up early enough to pick her up. So my priorities were not being out there with y'all or whatever the case is. I was just built differently. And I want, right, no, none of that. And I wanted to be able to, you know, show my daughter a good example. And so I say all that to say, I imagine it would be hard to have a bunch of kids at the age of 29, and you know, you're trying to go through life. Because listen, when you in your 20s, you don't know who you are, what you want to be. You're still trying to, you know, figure life out. Now imagine trying to figure who you are out. Then you got a partner. You're trying to, you know, get along with them in every way, shape, or form. And then you got little ones and you're trying to shape and mold them. So you have a lot going on, and it's hard to deal. And so sometimes people, you know, they snap. Again, I don't know what would have caused him to do it. But we need to constantly be teaching, because like you said, and I say this all the time, y'all get mad at me all you want to. This is the worst generation of parents ever put on planet Earth, where you got a teacher shortage everywhere. You got teachers checking out, talking about, I don't care. I got 2 or 3 years till fully retirement. I don't care. I'm not doing it anymore, because they are tired of dealing not just with your bad children. They're tired of dealing with bad parents. The worst generation of parents ever made.
You know, and that's a good point you bring up about the teachers. I was reading last night, matter of fact, of the I think there's an 8 to 7% decline of teachers, and even the programs Troops to Teachers, for people coming out of the military. they're not getting a lot of people out of that to incentivize the guys coming into there, because let's face
Donovan,
it.
if you wanted to right now in California, you could be a substitute teacher without teacher credentials. They're just like, if you got some education, a clean background, we substitute teachers. I know people who are going to be making $225 a day just being a substitute teacher.
Right, just being a babysitter for a day, $225 a day. And it's sad because we're not paying these teachers enough. And one of the number one, and it always seems to me that this state is number one when it comes to the negative. Mississippi, they pay their average teachers pays, I think it's like $46,000 a year. $46,000 a year. And in your sister's case, in some cases, they don't get the supplies. Your sister's one of the few teachers that will bring supplies to help the children out and do all those other things. And so when we don't even take care of the foundation of the people that help teach our children and get them prepared to be adults, we're headed in big trouble. And I'll give you a good example. When I was younger, my dream job was to be a teacher, because living overseas, you go to any country, behind a doctor and a lawyer, the number 3 occupation is a teacher. But not in America. When I found that out, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this, especially for what they paid.
And the crazy part is it takes a teacher to teach the doctors and the lawyers.
Right. And then, and don't get me wrong, when it comes to flying, I teach flying a little bit ground school. You got a little teaching in you. But as well as somebody who's in PR and stuff like that, you got to teach a teacher. There's a finesse to do it. There's certain ways of teaching, certain styles of doing that. And that doesn't happen overnight. You got to do that over a period of time. It takes years to be like a master instructor, because all it's like karate, all the styles, you kind of got everything down. But, thinking about these young people and their generation, for all we know, this guy wanted to play his PlayStation all day, because that's the type of guys you're dealing with that are, raised on PlayStations. Like I said, we were raised on Atari, but I didn't have my life around Atari. It's like I still went outside. I played for an hour or two, when it was all good and great, or it's raining, you play all day, whatever. But we went outside. But we have this newer generation that they have the PlayStation, the Dreamcast, and so for some reason, some part of their day, they've got to play Call of Duty for so many hours. I don't know, And so if you're a young mother, maybe you're dealing with 4 children, plus your childish husband. And, it could have been triggered off. The words were said. And next thing you know, it is what it is. And it's really unfortunate, because she just had that baby. Most of her children are under the age of, I would say, 10, maybe 12. You need those women, fellas, to nurture these children. We're not nurturers by creation. So, these children have now lost their mothers. The father's in jail. Now, chaos has ensued, and this is where we're at. And this is not going to be an isolated incident. Like I said, I do believe more of these incidents are going to happen. And unfortunately, we also have a generation of children, young people behind us, the millennials, that have been told that money will solve all your problems. Now, Demetra, you have money. I have money. A lot of people we know have money. Has it solved all your problems? You can throw all the money in the world at certain problems, and it's not going to solve a damn thing. But we have people that think because they're getting the bag, it's going to solve all their problems. Look at all the people that have all the money in the world, and they're the most miserable.
Yeah, I mean, money does make things a little easier. It does. But it doesn't help when you're having some mental health issues, or, you don't feel good physically, right? It's a lot of other things that have to go with money, because we hear about people with money, checking out of here on their own accord all the time, right? And you hear about it's like, wow, they had all this money, they were rich, why would they do it? It's like, well, because there's other things that were going on outside of them having money. They probably was like, oh, I could go buy anything I want, but I'm not happy, right? I don't have companionship. I'm having some mental struggles. Maybe there's a lot of stuff going on, right? A lot of stuff going on. And so, I just don't want to be here anymore. But, and I always tell y'all, I'm not perfect. I have my issues, but I try to as best I can. Exercise emotional intelligence. We talk about that a lot on here, is being in control of your emotions, right? Check yourself. Like on my phone, I literally have on my phone, can't see it, it says think 5 times before you speak, act, react, and attack. Now, I have a personal reason for why I have changed it to that. And also on my other screensaver, let's see, just so y'all know that I'm not just telling y'all stuff. I don't know if you can see it. It says, did you get hijacked? Right? Now, a stranger might see my phone, be like, damn, is she kidnapped? What's going on here? But so I'll explain the first one. The first one is basically I try my best to ask myself those things before I get reactive, before I get triggered by something. So I impress upon myself to think 5 times about it. Is this something you really want to do? Is it something you really want to say? Whatever, right? So that way I'm holding myself accountable. Like, yo, chill out. Because sometimes I have to, I say I'm an Aries, and I am, and I know I shouldn't be blaming some of my things on being an Aries, but, we're hot-tempered people, right? And a lot of times when we get going, it's hard to stop us, which is why I always try not to get going, right? I try to just be cool, calm, and collected all the time, because I know once I get there, it's like, yikes, wow. So I try to check myself, right? But then the other part of it, did you get hijacked? When I was taking conflict resolution, when I have a certificate in conflict resolution, and when there was this term that says, don't allow them to hijack your amygdala. That's the part of your brain that controls your emotions, right? And so a lot of times when people trigger us, that's what they do. They hijack our emotions, and we allow them to get in the car, and our emotions are in the back seat going all kind of crazy, instead of saying, all right, wait a minute. They have royally pissed me off. However, I'm gonna do something other than give them the reaction that they're looking for, right? Or because I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm a very lovely, sweet person, but I do have the razor blades and lemon juice. I really do. So a lot of times I have to check myself, because person be like, damn, you really have to talk to me like that. So I have to check myself a lot. So what I'm saying is, we got to get good at that. We got to get good at pumping the brakes. I know it's hard. It's hard. We got to get good at that.
The funny thing is, you bring up the Aries as being hot-tempered and stuff, but I'm a Taurus, and Tauruses are very stubborn. Thus, this is why you see Demetra and I the way we are. Like, my mind is the way it is, and that's how it's going to be. You're not going to change my mind unless you got some actual facts. And even if you got the facts, yeah, I won't accept it. Exactly. I don't care what your facts are. But yeah, I just think we're going to see a lot more of these things as the stressors of life come into it. And I'm not a religious person. A lot of people aren't religious like that. But if you are, and if you read the Bible, or if you had some kind of foundation in some form of religion, all of this stuff is supposed to come to pass. Now, me, as much as what's done to me by my ex, well, she wasn't even an ex, my son's mother, I could never fathom taking her off the planet. I could never fathom doing that. Now, her dad and people around her, yes, I could fathom doing that. But herself, no, I couldn't fathom doing that. And again, it's a tragedy any way you look at it, because the mother is gone, the father is gone. He will probably never get out of prison because he's black-skinned, and he'll probably never get out. And his little brother, or the older brother, I don't know which kind of brother it is.
That sounds like his younger brother.
Yeah, younger brother ruined that person's life. And it's just a whole. It's like an avalanche of problems that happen within the Black community, because now you've got the grandmother pitted against the fathers that are left. And so now you got that issue going into it, and then now they're questioning the money that's being raised. Initially the money was raised to find the missing mother. Now the mother has been found. Now she says, donate the money to help raise the children. Well, if the children are going to the father, which is naturally fine, and the father is an average guy and he can take care of the children, now you got to question why the grandmother is raising money for children that she can't take care of, obviously.
Well, yeah, and you did mention that if that they have fathers, they need to be with their fathers. I get maybe the grandma wants to keep them together, but her mom was up there in age as well. I would think she would want to live her life, maybe foster a great relationship with the fathers that are still here. I mean, obviously she'll have to take care of the. It sounds like the one, or I don't know what's going on with the other fathers, but yes, they should be allowed to raise their children. In regards to the GoFundMe, I agree with you. Benjamin Franklin, I have to look it up. Benjamin Franklin said, "An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure." And so I say that to say, because that's what kind of came to my mind. I don't know what lessons were taught to this young lady. And listen, I'm not saying it's her fault that she is not here, because I don't care what she did to him, said to him. She did not deserve to be gone. I'm going to say that up front, point blank, period. But if she indeed did have three fathers, and she's three baby daddies, it's the only way I can think of say that right now, at the age of 29 years old, four children, is like, what lessons did she learn from home, right? And I don't know if she saw some signs in regards to maybe him being violent. I don't know. I would tend to think maybe she did, because I just, it's rare that people snap. And I'm not blaming her mother for this either. But I'm saying I just know that I try my best to instill. My daughter's 30, and I always say teaching doesn't stop when they're 18. I try to instill, some good things in her. I try my best to set an example. I'm not perfect, um, but I've always told my daughter, don't bring me home no babies until you bring home a son-in-law. And I always tell people too, stop asking me about grandchildren if you have not asked me about a son-in-law, because especially in our community, we're so backwards with a lot of stuff. Now with that son-in-law, he has to have some qualities, right? Money is nice, but that's not to me, the most important quality, because there's a lot of men who make great money and who are horrible people, right? He needs to be decent. He needs to be loving. He needs to be respectful. He needs to be a good partner and a good husband, a father, right? Those are things that she should be looking for. Um, and don't bed down with a man who is not those things. And again, this is not an indictment on Imani or her mom, but I'm just saying we need to be teaching our not just our daughters, our sons too, because I went and saw Brother Nuri Muhammad and his beautiful wife Terry. They did a lecture, and he says, in society, we always tell the girls that they need to be virtuous, and our men they don't want to be with a woman who slept with everybody, or they looking for a virgin. But he says we rarely tell the men that you need to be virtuous too, or we rarely tell the girls, hey, you check his rap sheet. How many women he didn't had up in his bed, because it should be just as non-virtuous for a man to be sowing his royal oats everywhere. And I've always said that. I've never found a man who just with any and everybody attractive. Like, you ain't gonna be getting in the bed with me, nigga. I don't know where you been and who she been. You know what I'm saying? So we really have to start instilling values. And I want to say this, you said too, you would never dream of taking your son's mom off the planet. And I want to keep it real with you. I've dreamed of it a few times. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm one of those people. I think we need to really be honest.
Well, we dream about it, but we'd actually do it.
Yeah,
I've dreamed about it. I mean, I think about getting on roofs and sniping and all kinds.
Yeah, but I'm saying, yeah. So we need. I think because a lot of times, I'm not saying it's about you. I'm just saying about me. Because I thought about, I was like, yeah, I thought about it a few times. Not that I went through with getting a rope and I'm talking too much. I'm just playing. Not that I thought about like any actual details, but I thought, I would really just love to punch you in your face. I'm thinking this, right? And I've even said that to somebody not too long ago. I was like, I just want to punch you in your face, but I'm smart enough not to do it because I don't see myself to be a violent person. But I think we should be honest, because when we suppress certain things, no, I'm good, then eventually that stuff starts to bubble to the top and is, instead of saying, you know what? Right now, you're not my favorite person. And if I could legally get it, because I ain't worried about morals right now. If I could legally get away with it, I will punch your face in. But I'm not going to do that, because I'm going to find other ways to resolve the issues that I'm having.
See, and that brings up another point. When you're not married and you're not coming together as family, you know, and I'm not trying to shade, babe, you know, these moms out here, because you got a lot of fathers out here having babies all over the place and all this other. So it's equal on both sides. But see, I think that's also the breakdown of the family, because when you're married and the families come together to celebrate this union, you have a rapport with the your in-laws and so on and so forth, and you know, they kind of help you wisdom and stuff like that. Now, even though you and your baby daddy weren't married, and you guys don't have kids all over the place, your mother still instilled wisdom into you in regards to when you guys disputed things and stuff like that. And yeah, you're a woman and the baby's mine and da 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 da. You know, when you were coming out of pocket, your mother didn't just arbitrarily jump on your side and this is that. She was like, wait a minute. And this is, I think, the problem in our community, because we have so many non-marriages in the community, regardless of whose fault it is or whatever. We lack counseling from our elders who have been there and done that, because not many people nowadays are getting married anymore. So, you know, what do you think about that?
I think it's amazing. You know, as I said, I'm 52. My daughter's 30. But I can't tell her to do something I'm not doing, right? That being said, she doesn't see me bringing a bunch of dudes up in here. Hey, we just want to go have a little conversation behind closed doors. I can't tell her to be a respectable young lady and and seek out partners that way if she's watching me being treated like a trampoline. You know what I mean? And there's a saying too, just because I can don't mean I should. I can have, like I said, I can have a dude up in here if for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, a different one. I'm not gonna do that because I'm a lady for one thing. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just not. That's me. I'm speaking for me. Some women who like all that action going on down there. God bless you, and good on you. That just ain't me, right? Because I just feel like, and I've never been that way. I just feel like, just, I'm maybe gonna get in trouble. Everybody should not be able to hop up and down on you. You know what I mean? I don't care how fine you are, what you're saying, and all of that. Now you know, because that's a very
now Elder Barge, different story. Go ahead.
Elder Barge got 11 children, baby. So clearly his stuff has been all over the place. He can sing to me though. You know what I mean? But I'm saying is we got to have such high esteem enough to say, nah, sucker. Yeah, I don't know you like that. You're not, gonna be hopping up and down on me or whatever the case is. But back to my mom. Yeah, my mom, I didn't have that type of mama where I can say, mama, he this, he that, he this, he that. She would say, oh, for real, And my mom was pretty good at looking at, now I was her child, she gonna ride for me or whatever. But she was able to be non-biased and like, okay, all right, this is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Because, when my daughter and father and I would start now, we were both young. And when we realized we weren't going to make it, we did have a little tug of war over, it's my child, or I'm taking her today. And my mom said to both of us, she says, no matter how much time you spend with her or how much time she spends with her, vice versa, she's always going to be 100% both of your children. So why are y'all fighting over who's going to have her this amount of time? And then on the slide, she pulled me to the side. She says, it's going to come a time where you're going to want to go do your thing and you ain't going to be able to do it if you're trying to get her all the time because you have her all the time. She said, that's her daddy. Let her daddy be her daddy. And I was like, you know what? She got a point, and I stopped arguing with him over, now he didn't stop arguing with me. That's a different story. But I stopped arguing with him over the, who gonna have her the most, this, that, and the other. But I love my mom for that because my mom was like, listen, child, don't make things more difficult than they needed to. Now, on the opposite, if I had a mom was like, girl, yeah, he don't need this, that, the other, he don't need that, let him take that baby, the nigga, who the hell he think he is. He don't need the baby don't need his last name and all that. No, my mama wasn't like that. My mom wasn't like that at all. She was like, that's her father, you're her mother, and the both of y'all need to figure out how to raise her to be the best person possible without all this bickering back and forth. And I did have that type of mama. If I wasn't like that, but if I was, acting crazy. My mama snatch a knot in me, be like, hey, you tripping. You don't be giving this man a hard time. But that's the kind of mom I had.
Right. Now, let me ask you this, and I think it's important for the people that are watching this broadcast that might not have what you have, and and things of that nature. And a lot of women, unfortunately, and it happens more so by women's hand than anything else. They poison the child against the father, right? Making these false accusations, whatever. Now, Deanna and her father have a dynamic relationship. They're on and then they're off. But the thing is, at 30 years old, she figured that out for herself. You didn't have to tell her that. And unfortunately, there's a lot of women out there that will put a narrative on the father. When ladies, I know I'm a man, but please just listen to me. You don't have to do that. If your ex is a douchebag, the kids are going to find out in due time. You don't have to put gasoline on the fire. So, your daughter's relationship with her dad, it's off and on thing, but it's a father-daughter relationship nonetheless. You know what I mean? And they make it work to how it is. But that advice that I just gave to the ladies that might be listening to this broadcast, would you say that that's decent advice or fair advice?
Yeah, it's called alienation of affection is what it is. When one parent tries to persuade the other, the child not to like the other parent or to feel indifferent about the other parent, and it's wrong. Now, I want to put a disclaimer on it in case, unless the other person is horrible, if they're so bad, then you need to work legally to keeping that child away from them. And I'm talking about, egregious stuff. I'm not talking about, well, he hung up in your face, or, he he wouldn't give you an extra $5 or, whatever. I ain't talking about that kind of stuff, right? Now, indeed, they might be a horrible person, but you got to ask yourself, are they a horrible person to me and only me, or are they a horrible person to me and the child? Now, if they're a horrible person to the child as well, then yeah, you might want to maybe try to have a conversation with that other parent. And then, as I said, do something else outside of that. But you're absolutely right. The child will make up their own mind. Now, my daughter's father, I love him to death. We're great friends now. In fact, I might need to ask him for a ride from the airport when we get back. You know what I'm saying? But, he wasn't always a great guy to me. He wasn't, I had carried some trauma from the relationship that we had, but I always say because we were young, we were both trying to figure things out. But I never took those opportunities to say, listen, to my daughter, your dad is a bad person. Oh, he's this and he's that and he's this and he's. I never did that because, at the end of the day, my daughter loves her father, and it would not be right for me to try to get her to unlove him due to the relationship that he and I had, right? Because we didn't work out. But that don't mean that I need to taint my daughter's relationship with him. And like you said, they have their issues as most parents and children do. But at the end of the day, it's all love. My daughter's father calls her a couple times a week, and they spend, when I say hours on the phone at a time, just talking about everything, and so there's obviously love there. Now imagine if I had been, the monkey wrench, threw the monkey wrench in there, they wouldn't have that, and his conversations with his daughter it's good for him, right? That does him good, it does her good too. And so imagine if I would have ruined that because I felt some, certain type of way, and my mom.
Yeah, you're going to make him pay until the day he dies. These people that have these feelings. It's like, okay, you've moved on. You and this guy haven't been together in 40 years, and you got some people out there that just have that axe to grind, no matter what it takes to grind these men into the ground. I mean, not everybody's going to be perfect, but who are we to tell this man how to be a father? He's being a father the best way he knows how.
Yeah, so figure out a way to talk to your homegirl, and for the men that are doing it, talk to your homeboys. She's a horrible hooker. I do not like her. I want to run her over with my vehicle. I'm not, but I really want to do that. She's just not fit to consume another breath of air. But don't have those conversations with the children, because the children, they at their age, they're not equipped mentally and emotionally to handle grown up stuff, right? So when you do that, you dump a lot of stuff on their plate, that they're like, well, I love my daddy though. I don't know what to do. I love my daddy. He's nice to me. I don't know. So the child goes through a lot of confusion. And you also put them in the middle, like, gosh, I love my mommy. I love my daddy. But one of them is making me choose. I don't want to choose. I love them both, right? So at the very least, think about what you're doing to that child because of some emotional baggage that you're harboring against the other parent.
Right. And, and I just want to bring this up. Another good thing that we as parents do, maybe because we, don't know any better, we weren't taught any better. Like my sister-in-law, she would always speak for the children. As a mother, you should. Oh, they don't like this. Or, like we're going to Disneyland. Oh, they don't like fast rides. How do you know that? How do you know that? Have they been to Disneyland before? Have they been to Knott's Berry Farm before? Have they been to Castle Park? But see, sometimes because we are so used to having ultimate control over the children, and then, a good example, I'm the uncle, and I was coming in. I can give this to my sister-in-law because me and my sister-in-law, that. But I can give this to her. She never alienated my relationship with my nieces, and she could have. She could have easily done that. But like you said, she liked that free time when I would take them away so she can go do what she wants to do, whatever the deal is. But the point is, a lot of us, we want to be gangbusters on our children. And sometimes by doing that, we don't give our children the experiences that they might really enjoy. Every year I go to SeaWorld and I take different factions of my family to SeaWorld because it's free. I can take so many guests, whatever the deal is. That's a good experience to take them on. But you got these parents that are like, well, he doesn't like that. How do you know? They've never even tried, this meal or that meal or whatever. You're making these decisions for them when number one, the child is not in your control at that time. So how are you going to, regulate from 30, 40 miles away for what the kids do? Because I'm one of those uncles that even though the mother doesn't want the kid to have like the candy and the ice cream, unless it's a medical issue, which it usually isn't. I let them have it and let them get hyped up on sugar, and I drop them back off with the parents and say, okay, well, uncle's gone. I'm going to see you guys later. And they're hyped up on the sugar because that's what I chose to do.
Right. So let's see if we can get this video to play. If not, then we tried, y'all. It's not us. It's the program. And
you sound like Karen Bass about the qualified immunity. We tried.
Right. All right. Hold on a second. Let's see if we can get it to play. Nope. It ain't me. It's the program, unfortunately.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Paying all that money and it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. But
yeah, it's not on my end. But I'll try
but you know what they're probably doing? They're probably doing some updates right now, and that's probably the problem.
So anyway, we'll talk about it on. I'm scared to do that on the live show. I don't know if it'll work then. Maybe it will, but I won't get into it now. But we got 10 more minutes here.
Well, I have a question with the 10 more minutes that we have. You're getting ready to go to Japan. What are some of the things that you plan to do or look up to when you get over there?
So. Yes,
and you're always talking this Africa thing, and but you're going to Japan, but you're all this Africa stuff.
Yeah, Donovan and I and my daughter are going to Japan at the end of this month. And Japan was not my choice to go. It was Donovan. Donovan, he was raised in Japan for most of his childhood, so Japan is like home to him. Military brat. And my daughter, says, all right, cool, let's go to Japan. I was like, I don't really want to go to Japan, for a lot of reasons. So we're going to Japan. And whenever we travel, what I like to do most are tours. Like when we went to South Africa, we did the beer tour, which was one of my favorite things to do. And from that point, I was like, well, I like to do a tour everywhere we go. Went to Costa Rica. We did a coffee tour. We learned how they make the coffee and all that was totally awesome. Then the DR, which tour did we do there? We did something. I can't remember what it was.
We did the whole tour, and then we did the
No, you did the whole
Yeah,
tour.
let's do a whole tour, and then we went down to the canal zone.
Yeah. So this out in Japan, I want to go to do a sake tour, or matcha green tea to learn how to make that and all that type of stuff. I'm just going to see what it's like, honestly, from a journalist point of view, to see what it's like to be black in Japan. Now, Donovan, as I said, he's obviously a black man. He's been there for most of his childhood, all the way up through high school. So I would imagine he knows, but I want to go from my own point of view to see what it's like uh, in Japan. I'm not nervous about going to Japan. Only intrepidation that I have right now is because I'm plant based, and I don't want to go off the grid. I want to eat as many plants as I can.
They've got nothing but plants there. Don't worry, sprouts, everything you need. If that's what you're into.
That's all. I'm looking forward to doing it. Just going away or whatever the case is. My daughter.
But let me ask you this. Let me cut you off. But like, as a journalist in a form of journalism, because not everybody wants to go to Africa, not everybody wants to go certain places. So wouldn't it be more advantageous for you to at least say, hey, I've been over here to experience this. I've been over here to experience this. I've been over to experience. I can understand you saying I don't want to go to Europe because you could deal with a bunch of white people right here. But you know what I mean? Like, here's another culture doing their thing that identify as white and all this other stuff. And you can kind of see their aspect of it. I just think it's kind of good that you can say, hey, I've been here, I've been there. It is what it is.
Yeah, to go to we've kind of been to Asia, I guess, and on layovers, but not, stopped. I'm interested. I do a lot of stories about Asians and things like that. So I'm interested. I'm like you, Donovan. Well, I haven't always been like you. I've always been kind of reserved. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. But in this age that I'm in, I'm like, I'll do almost anything once now. With that has a lot of limits. Okay. But why not? Why not? Why not? So I can at least say, okay, because I feel like this too. You can be one of two people. You could be the type of person that hears about stuff from everybody else. Oh, I went here, I went there. Oh, you did? How was it? Was it great? Or was it this? Oh, yes, it was wonderful. Or you could be the person that goes and actually, do it and say, okay, I did it. I didn't like it, or, it was great, or whatever the case is. But I'm one of those people, I'm just not going to be held back by the limitations of others. And that's why I tell you all the time, I don't really like Twitter much. Because and a lot of social media, I'm not really on there much unless I'm looking for stories. Is because the internet, or social media rather, is the opinion of everybody else, right? So somebody, let's say, and that's why I try to be really responsible when I do stories or talk about things, because there's a lot of people who have a large following on the internet off of their opinions, right? And they'll pass those opinions off as facts. Instead of saying, well, this is kind of what I think, it's just my opinion, they'll pass it off. And then those people that follow them will run around the internet, or such and such said this, and such said that. It got to be true because they said it. And then you say, oh, for real? Because in my book here, it says something else. So where did you get your facts from, right? So point that I'm making is, go see for yourself. Now, like I said, Japan wasn't somewhere I wanted to go, but I'm like, well, that's where we going. That's where we going. Suck it up. I like Africa. There's, 54 countries over there. So, we'll do that more. But at least to say you did it, because I'm not one of those people going to die closed-minded, right? When you close my casket, you won't close up a closed mind, okay? Y'all close my casket, y'all going to say, now that was somebody who did things with her life. She experienced that, she just that, and the other. They ain't gonna be like, well, damn, we don't really know what to say about it because she didn't really do much.
Because I always tell people this. Me and Demetra were talking a while back, and she was like, oh yeah, one of my great places to go, I want to go to Africa. That was your dream place, right? And I said, well, let's go. Let's do it.
And we went.
Had a great time. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. It was just, you can see Demetra really enjoyed being there and stuff, and really enjoyed it. But for me, and we don't do this enough in our community. We don't, you said, to me, the one of the greatest rewards I get is being able to let somebody to affect somebody's life like that, because until the day she dies, she's always going to remember, I went to Africa for the first time with Donovan.
With my crazy friend
Yes.
Donovan, who
Yes.
almost we almost didn't make it. I might have to have that same conversation. We have to, you know how when you go somewhere with your mama and your mama say, look, you sit your ass down. Don't you
Yeah, we had so many things in there. Like I said, you about to fight in the Seychelles. I didn't want to leave Africa. I had that. Remember that steak was so good. I wanted to put it in my pocket. I actually did. I put part of the steak in my pocket at the airport. And but that's one of the things that we don't do as a people here in the United States. We don't share our experiences, and we don't share our wealth. When I mean by wealth, I mean not just knowledge of wealth, just, if you could just do it, just do it. Why not? No, we rather, oh girl, I'm going to Jamaica for the 7th, 8th time, and get me Dexter St. Jock and all that, and that's all good and great. But the thing is, give those people, if you're blessed enough to bless somebody else, we need to get back to doing that, because with what's coming up down the pipe, if you're watching TV and in this world, the finances are not going to be there for a majority of us to do anything. It's not going to be there. So if you can bless somebody else, and at least I can say this, come Judgment Day, if you believe in that type of stuff, well, Lord, I did take Demetra and her daughter. I'm a good guy. I did, something benevolent in my lifetime, so that's something we should do. We should bless each one, bless one, for those that are less fortunate and things of that nature, or not even just fortunate, just to learn it. And now Demetra wants to go and possibly live in Africa for all we know.
Yeah, but I just think, and Donovan, I can never, repay you, because not only do you take myself, as you said, you take my daughter too,
because when you invest in women, they will teach their children. They will teach the next generation. That's the only reason. If you were a dude, no, you're on your own, brother. Get your own money.
But I will say this, though. I know a lot of times, and I tell y'all this all the time, Donovan is a douchebag, okay? He can be a real douche. But I always tell people that Donovan, he seems like he does not like Black women. And, Donovan hangs with a really dope Black woman. So it's our job as Black women. I know somebody saying, it ain't our job. It ain't our job to teach these rusty Negroes nothing. It is our job, right? Because Donovan and I are not in a relationship, never have, never will be. But as a woman and a friend to him, it is my duty to teach him what I know, just like it's his duty to teach me what he knows. But I always say this about Donovan, regardless of the manosphere bullcocker that come up out of his mouth, Donovan loves Black women. I know for a fact he loves his Black mama. She might get on his nerves every once in a while, but Donovan would never, ever see his mama without nothing. I don't care what it is. Donovan will call me like, but I did it because that's my mama, My daughter and I, we Black women, and this is going to be our 4th trip out of the country, and Donovan is paid for it, and like I said, Donovan, every year he gives a scholarship to a Black girl going to college out of it. This out of his own pocket. Donovan has done a copious amount of things for Black women that I personally know. So that's why I always push the back that Donovan don't like Black women. I just think, as I said, so I brought myself into the equation. He's a little bit misguided when it comes to Black women. But the person that don't like Black women wouldn't spit on a Black woman if she was on fire. I know that ain't Donovan. I know Donovan.
The funny thing is, I know people say I live a very contradictory life, and I project myself to be a certain thing, and I am that certain thing. But at the same time, I'm going to complain about the Black women and whatever the deal is. But I know foundationally, because it's logical, women are the nurturer of the children. So if I pour into women, regardless of if I'm pissed off at them or I don't like the way they do things, I know for a fact when the day that Demetra's daughter has children, she is going to make those children travel, period. And you got to invest in women, because unfortunately, I'm a man. I know we're not going to take that knowledge and give it out. We're not going to do that. Women will do that, even if it's not their children.
And remind me when I see you to punch you in the face, because I think it's because of you. That's a traveling heifer. That she ain't never here. My daughter's probably gone out of here once a month. She just like, I'm out of here. She don't have no children, no man or nothing. So You know, and I tell her too, and Donovan has told her, hell shit, go travel, go see some stuff, go do some stuff. Like, because when you do get married and you have children, you ain't gonna be able to just jet set like your suitcases and stuff, unless you know you get very wealthy, you know, and that's a possibility. They're gonna collect a little dust. So do it now.
Right. And by traveling and having the experience of traveling, you're going to dispel a lot of the rumors and the BS that goes out there. Like I said, when we went to Africa, yeah, at first, you know, because you don't know any better, you're kind of, but when you really got there and you really felt, hey, this is our people. What are we afraid of? What are we doing?
And we want to give it a little context. It ain't like we was ignorant, like, oh, they over there with spears, and we wasn't going over there like that. But at the time, where we were going exactly, it was, I guess, some sort of a turf war between the Nigerians and the South Africans or whatever in Johannesburg. And so there had been some fighting and somebody had got murked over there or whatever. So we were hearing these stories and we're like, golly, did we come at the right time? And even the guy that we got the Airbnb from, he was an African brother, South African, and he was cool, Simon. But he was one of those, people that don't work hard enough around here type of people. And he was like, yeah, it's real dangerous. You got to be careful. Oh, yeah. And it was a penthouse we were in. So it was really nice. So the first day out, we was like, okay, everybody stick close together. And then we saw a white woman walking down the street with her poodle and with her purse. I said, hell to the no. If that white woman ain't scared, we ain't going to be scared either. And the rest, I mean, it was just.
And then we were there. The people were so friendly. The service was so good. And so now, like, if Demetra has her grandchildren, she can say, they go, Grandma, I'm going to such and such, such. Okay, well, look, you don't want to travel. You're a woman. You're going with the guy. Okay, make sure you have a guy there, whatever, you can go, whatever. And if you go there, go to this area. See if they got that over there. When I talk to my mom, Demetra, she's always telling me and asking me, like when I was in Hawaii, is Fort so-and-so there? Did you go over here? Is that still there? You know what I mean? Because we have that commonality of her traveling earlier. Now here it is 20-something years later. She's asking me, is it still there? Can I, check it out? And so you have that knowledge rather than pressing the fear. Fear is something that is taught. Now, I will never tell a woman to travel without a man being present. Never travel doing that, because when we were in the DR, Demetra and them got hooked up, whatever, and I had to break out my Kryptonian cape, and of course it was too late. It was so fast. But the point is, ladies, you don't want to travel by yourself. You want to be smart when you travel. But when you travel, go out there and have a good time, and and experience the culture. It's nothing wrong with that. And her daughter's doing it at a young age, and I know for a fact, because my calculation says when you invest in women, it's better for the community. Men will not do that. Look, we get successful. What's the first thing a successful Black man does? We go get a white woman. We're out of there, and we ain't looking back. See, so I know that.
What I'm saying. And the other thing too is, speaking of the DR, y'all haven't seen my story. I was told a few times, and I did a story on the African Diaspora News Channel. My daughter and I almost got snatched up by deportation because they thought we were Haitian or whatever. But this is just a testament to emotional intelligence, because he came and put his hands on me, grabbed my arm. Where's your passport? And grabbed my daughter's arm. Now, the Southern California girl in me wanted to say, unhand me, sucker. Get your hands off of me. But the more civil side of me was like, okay, you might not want to go that route because I don't know who this is, what's really going on here. And cooler heads did prevail, right? But I'll never go back to the DR. See, I can say that now. I can say, instead of people saying, don't go, which a lot of people did, now I can really say, yeah, don't go. And I'm telling y'all, Black women especially, I know y'all going over there for the BBLs and all that. All right, whatever. But you travel wisely, because, it could have ended up, pretty bad for us.
And every time I've gone back to the DR, every time there has been a death from a BBL surgery. Every time
we need to have a conversation. One day we're going to have a conversation about the BBLs. And listen, we got 5 minutes because I got.
I'm kind of glad that the BBL is dying out. People are like, I'm glad.
I'm going to say this, and I'm probably going to get in trouble, but it ain't going to be nothing new. Okay. I don't begrudge anybody who wants to augment their body, do whatever. It's your body. God gave it to you. But he also says, do not defile the temple. So y'all could take what you want from that. I'm one of those people, when I see it, I'm like, did you ask for that? Did you go to Acme, BBL hospital to get it? Like, who did this? Was the surgeon blind?
Well, no, the surgeon was actually in a honeybee comb, and then that's how you get the honeybee look in the.
You stupid. Oh, but and listen, I'm not one of those people that's against, enhancing your body, because gravity gonna win regardless. It's gonna win. You're gonna be a 90-year-old woman with boobs all the way up on your damn chin, and a rock hard booty. When they put you in the casket, you're gonna be like a teeter-totter and they ain't gonna know what to do. It's gonna be the only thing on you that didn't drop.
Right, or you be in the casket and everything is dry. You still look exactly the same because it's all
right. Right. Talking about I'm 90 years old. I ain't gotta wear no bra. I'm like, no kidding. You put 2 rocks up in there 30 years ago. But I'll just say this. It would behoove us as women to love ourselves, right? I'm not like I was when I was 15, I got some things, but hey, I'm still sexy. But the other thing is this though. I'm in the gym every day. I'm in the gym. As y'all can see, I got a little jawline back. I've been plant-based for a month now, and I've dropped almost probably 10 pounds or more at this point. It's kind of hard for me to tell because I lift. Y'all see them. I lift weights. I lift weights every day. So the point that I'm making is, at 52 years old, society tells us, oh, you're washed up. Just going to put on a moo-moo and call it a day. Going to get that chicken frying dress that you got laying around the house all the time. Going to just put that on, But I'm like, nah, I refuse to go out without a fight, right? Because it's easy to do when you get older. You go to menopause, and I got hypothyroidism, which means that my metabolism is slower than most people. So I have to fight for it every day. But I always say, and my daughter tell you, she getting on my nerves. Because I'm like, when I die, I'm going to be the finest dead woman ever. Okay? I'm not going to be, and honestly, I always say, because I don't have any grandchildren yet, but I have great nieces and nephews. I always say, I'm going to be that type of grandmother that's running and jumping and because I could do cartwheels and all that stuff too, the splits. I could do it all, baby. I could still do that. I want to be able to do that with them. I don't want to be the kind of grandmama that a lot of us remember. Not so much as my grandmas, but a lot of the people's grandmas are just sitting there. Oh, baby, that's so nice. You want to do that dance again for grandma. Grandma, get up and do it with us. Oh, I wish I could, but these 2 hip surgeries I had, this one, that ain't gonna be me, okay? They gonna be like, grandma, we don't want to go to grandma's house because she be moving around too much. So what I'm saying is there's things you could do. I'm going to talk about it one day. Dr. Bobby Price is a doctor on Black doctor on YouTube, and he's got a lot of great information. Brother Phil has we didn't even know like we were taking the advice from the same person, because if y'all look at Brother Phil has lost a lot of weight as well, but he's following the advice of Bobby Price. And one day we're having a conversation, and he says, yeah, I'm following Bobby Price. I said, man, I'm following Dr. Bobby Price too, and I got his book. And he talks about being plant-based and exercising and all that. So we're just taking the advice, and the weight is just falling off, right? So there's things that you could do to preserve your sexy. You know what I mean? I'm a single woman, and listen, I don't know when I will ever get in a relationship again. Hopefully it's sooner than later. But whenever that time comes, I'm still going to have it. I'm going to still be fine. It ain't going to be like, ooh, I sure would like for you to bring my legs up here, Buster, but I ain't got them kind of knees no more. Hey, Daddy. I know my dad's probably watching. I was talking about hopscotch or something. But the point that I'm making is, you know what I'm saying? Because I get it. I get it from a man's point of view. And I'm not that I'm a man, but from men that I listen to, y'all ain't trying to be with no woman. You got to lift all the shit up. Talking about, what's up? Oh, there it
is. Or she's so heavy that the house is on fire. I can't get her out of the house.
It's gonna be a lot of roast beef going on there.
But you know what I mean? There's a logic to it, and a lot of women don't think about that. I don't want a woman that I can't physically pick up. I can't do it.
You want to be able to do some baby boy stuff with her, huh? And you know what? I want that for you. And I want it for me too. But the point that I'm making is, listen, I'm human, okay? Don't let me being a lady fool you. I'm still human. All right. I try not to be too disgusting. But you know, I think not even that we owe it to our partner, we owe it to ourselves to be the best version of ourselves, as healthy as we can, and all of that. And for me, that just really includes eating plant-based. I like meat. I just can't eat it because y'all start, if I start eating meat again, y'all see I'll be all swollen because of the salt and all of that other stuff. I looked in the mirror today. I was like, I see you. My abs is coming in real nice. I'm a lady. I ain't gonna show them to you. But yeah, we just gotta work for it. So the BBL thing, it's to me, it's cheating. It's cheating. I can understand if you got some real serious stuff going on, maybe lost a lot of weight and everything is kind of out of whack. But if you just refuse to do a push-up, you're gonna have to go and get you another BBL. BBLs don't keep you in shape. They just give you a shape, like an ant.
Yeah, and what's crazy about it?
Uh-oh, I think Donovan froze up. He froze up. So anyway, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I'm going to upload this and we'll be back live at about 5:30 Central Time. And what we'll talk about, I don't know, but it'll definitely be a live conversation. So until then, you guys be blessed. See you then. Peace.